did they think they were? Why did I ever bother to invite them to my house? They didn't deserve it. I read about myself 6 times, but I didn't turn away from the wall. After a while, I noticed that the room was very quiet. I wondered what the others were thinking. That's when Sandra started to cry. I knew it was her, even though I was facing the wall. First, she cried low, but when I turned around to look at her, she took her hands away from her mouth and started bawling so loud you could probably hear it a mile away. I hate you, she yelled. Every single one of you. You all think I'm a big fat slob. Even my own sister thinks I'm a fat slob. Well, you are, Jane said, and you should do something about it. Anyway, somebody said some pretty bad things about me, too. Like I can't keep secrets and my brain is turned off most of the time. So, Mouse said, I don't think it was fair of you to make fun of my scabs. I didn't make fun of your scabs, Jane hollered. Well, somebody did. Well, it wasn't me, Jane yelled. I didn't say anything because I was the one who wrote that about Mouse's scabs, but I never thought it would bother her so much. And another thing, Mouse said, I don't think that any of you have the right to tell me that my hair needs washing. What's so bad about that, Sandra asked. How do you think I feel that the two of you wrote that I'm a crybaby? You are a crybaby, Mouse told her, and I don't see what business it is of yours that my belly button sticks out. I didn't write that, Sandra said. I wrote about your ears. Yeah, well, that's just as dumb. I'm the one who wrote about your belly button, Jane said, and it does stick out, so there. Shut up, Jane, Mouse hollered. Jane was standing near my dresser, and when Mouse said that, Jane picked up one of Bobby Egren's model airplanes and threw it across the room at her. Who's going to make me, she asked. You cut that out, I told her. They're not mine. So, Jane said, throwing a plane at me. I told you to cut it out, I shouted, and I want to know which one of you wrote that my body is abnormal. My body is as normal as any of yours, even more normal because I don't have to hide in any closet when I get undressed. And who says I have ugly feet? Your feet are just as ugly. I wrote about your feet, Sandra said, because your big toes are funny looking. I think there's something wrong with them. How dare you say that about my feet, I yelled, you big fat crybaby. I'm going home, Sandra bawled. I don't have to stay here and listen to this. That's right, Jane told her. Go running home to Mama, just like always. She tossed a model boat at Sandra. I could tell plenty about you if I felt like it, Sandra said, throwing the model back at Jane. You just try it and I'll get you, Jane yelled as she flung another model. This time, Sandra picked it up and sent it flying across the room at Jane. And Mouse picked one up and did the same thing. And I got so mad, I yelled, You're ruining my party! And I threw one of Bobby's models at Jane. Pretty soon, we were all throwing the models at each other. And we were all screaming and half crying too because of all the terrible things we wrote about each other, even though some of them were true. That's when Libby opened the door and said, What's going on in here? I shouted, Get out and mind your own business. Jane threw a model at Libby, and Libby had to duck so it wouldn't hit her in the head. Instead, it hit Mary Ann, who was standing right behind Libby. She hollered, You little brats, you little baby brats, you're too young for a slumber party. I said, Get out of my room now. I'm going to tell Mother and Father about this, Sheila. Blah, 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 I said. Yeah, Mouse told them, blah, blah, blah. Then Mouse looked at me and we started to laugh. And when we did, Jane did too. And after a minute, even Sandra joined us. We all laughed at Libby and Mary Ann as we shouted, blah, 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 blah. Libby called us baby brats one more time before she slammed our door shut. Then I flopped down on my bed and looked around at my room. Bobby's models were all over the place. He's gonna get me. Don't be silly, Mouse said. No, he said he would and he means it. I know he means it. So what? Who cares about the old model maniac, Mouse asked. That's easy for you to say, I told her. You're not the one he's going to get. There's only one thing to do. What's that? Sandra asked. We have to fix up every single model. But how can we, Sanderson? One of them broke right in half. Well, that one we can throw in the garbage, but the rest of them we have to repair. I went to the desk and opened the drawer. I took out 2 tubes of tester's glue and a box of model paints. I divided the models up into 3 piles. It won't take long to fix them up, I said. An hour later, we were still sitting on the floor, gluing and painting, when my mother knocked on my door and called, Snack time! I whispered, Quick, hide the stuff, as I ran across my room to open the door for Mom. She was carrying a big tray of pizza. Oh, that smells delicious, Sandra said. It's nice and hot, Mom told us. She set it down on the desk. Then she wiggled her nose and looked around. Something smells funny in here, girls. It does, I asked. Yes, like glue or something. Oh, that's just my toothpaste, Mrs. Tubman Mouse said. What kind of toothpaste smells like that, Mom asked. Oh, it's this new kind that prevents cavities, Mouse told her. Well, I sure hope it tastes better than it smells, Mom said. Mother, is that you? Libby called. Yes, Mom said, we have plenty of pizza. Libby came rushing into my room with Marianne right behind her. Mother, Sheila and her friends were just awful while you were gone. They were yelling and screaming and throwing around all the models from the top of the dresser. Mom stood in my doorway and said, Sheila, what's this all about? I told you she'd ruin my party, I said. She just has to butt in on everything. Mom looked over at my dresser. Where are all of Bobby's models? Under the bed, Mrs. Tubman Mouse said. We wanted to make sure nothing would happen to them, so we put them away for the night. They are impossible children, Mother, Libby said. Mother looked back at us. We all smiled at her. This is Sheila's party, Libby. I think you and Marianne should go to your room and let these girls take care of themselves. I know they wouldn't do anything destructive to another person's property. Oh, Mother, Libby said, you don't understand at all. Good night, Libby. Good night, Marianne, Mom told them. Thanks, Mom, I said. Have a good time, but don't stay up too late. When Mom went downstairs, we started in on the pizza. Sandra ate 2 pieces and reached for a third, but we all shook our heads at her, and she took her hand away and said, the truth really hurts. We all agreed.